Work on the thermobaric bomb continued at the Navy's main research center based at Indian Head near Washington, D.C. The head of development is Dr. Ann Duong. She had a personal interest in the development of the weapon.
I used to be a refugee. I came to the United States at the end of the Vietnam War when I was 15. So because of my background, I've always had a very deep compassion for the war fighters.
Ann showed me the laboratory where she and her team developed the thermobaric bomb. She has no qualms about throwing everything she has into future weapons projects.
I want to make sure that I do everything at least I can individually, personally, to contribute to the protection of this democracy and this freedom.
The fight to defeat global terrorism has taken the U.S. military to Afghanistan. It's a country where it's difficult to target the enemy because of its mountainous terrain and numerous caves.
HDBT is an acronym a lot of people use in the Pentagon that refers to hard and deeply buried targets.
Hard and deeply buried targets is exactly where the enemy was hiding in Afghanistan. You can't get much better shelter than from inside a mountain. No single weapon existed that could take out the long tunnels and deep caverns of these complex cave systems. Neither artillery nor conventional bombing had any effect. And although American troops were on the ground there, sending them inside caves would be a suicide mission.
It's a very confined space. Everybody knows where you're coming in. You're stepping right into the line of fire.
We wanted to come up with a better capability to defeat tunnels so that our guys don't have to go in themselves.
What was needed was a completely new kind of explosive device.
You need the kind of weapon that could generate sustained blasts so that by the time the blast reaches the target deep inside the tunnel, it's still of sufficient intensity to defeat that target.
The weapon they started to develop was a thermobaric bomb. Work on the thermobaric bomb continued at the Navy's main research center based at Indian Head near Washington, D.C. The head of development is Dr. Ann Duong. She had a personal interest in the development of the weapon.
I used to be a refugee. I came to the United States at the end of the Vietnam War when I was 15. So because of my background, I've always had a very deep compassion for the war fighters.
Ann showed me the laboratory where she and her team developed the thermobaric bomb. She has no qualms about throwing everything she has into future weapons projects.
I want to make sure that I do everything at least I can individually, personally, to contribute to the protection of this democracy and this freedom.
The mixture created to make the thermobaric explosive was specifically developed to be a cave buster.
Thermal means heat, baric means pressure.
To see how the thermobaric blast really works, the Defense Academy in Britain conducted a series of demonstrations. We brought fiberglass mannequins to the firing range to compare the effects of 3 different types of explosives. First, a traditional experiment placing 3 mannequins at short distances from some plastic explosive.
Blast actually does fall away very, very quickly from the center of the explosion.
Dr. Steve Murray is an explosives expert at Cranfield University.
What is surprising to many people is just how quickly it falls away.
Right, do we have range clear?
Range clear.
This is what 8 pounds of explosive looks like when it goes off. Our high-speed camera is running at over 4,000 frames per second. It clearly shows what happens to the 3 dummies.
The one that was nearest the actual charge itself has been absolutely and completely shredded. but the ones that were further away are still pretty much intact. This is typical effective blast.
Impressive at close range, but plastic explosive is useless against a target deep inside a cave. The thermobaric device had been in development for a few years. The invasion of Afghanistan meant Duong and her team had to suddenly deliver a working weapon in days, not years.
I got the call from the Pentagon. We were told to prove something now. By the time we started the project, our warfighters were already in Afghanistan.
With no time to lose, the team had to finish the thermobaric bomb in just 67 days. The weapon was now ready for testing, and the caves of Nevada were the perfect test site. Tom Ward was the head of the test program. How did they manage to deliver the bomb so quickly?
They were working just massive amount of hours to make sure this thing comes together.
We worked night and day.
We knew how far and how fast we could push things.
Normally, a weaponization program takes 3 to 5 years because, you know, when you deal with explosives, you have to be extremely careful.
And we went right up to the edge of the limit.
And we knew that we would not have a second chance. This is it.
Lab tests are one thing, a live field test is another. To work properly, an F-15 fighter had to drop the bomb exactly at the mouth of a tunnel. There's no room for error.
While we had tested it on the ground in static test, the whole issue was during the whole dynamic flight is making sure that the weapon actually performed as intended.
10 seconds to get back.
The thermobaric bomb was guided by laser right onto the target.
Check line. Impact. Switch to safe.
The F-15 pilot hit the bullseye.
He dropped it, and it was a perfect hit.
It was an impressive feat seeing the thermobaric weapon fly into the tunnel facility and detonate. And you know that it's creating a lethal environment down that facility.
A high-speed camera in the tunnel captures the blast. The footage proved that the blast wave carried right through the tunnel, and the energy from the blast even exploded out the vents.
When the weapon went in, you saw the relief on everybody's face at the test. It was great.
The weapon performed exactly as expected.
Hooray. A relief, a great sense of relief.
The weapon was now ready to be deployed. From the caves of Nevada, 11 thermobaric bombs were shipped to Afghanistan ready to be used in the Afghan mountains.
There was definitely an effect out there where folks understood and knew that they were not safe inside some of the tunnels these days.
I tell you, when you're strongly motivated, you could move Earth. You could make miracles. And that's what this team was able to do. We all saw what happened in 9/11, and we all wanted to do something about it. So everybody, voluntarily, there was that sense of urgency. We spent all these years working in science and technology, years